They're finding pyramids everywhere, like thousands and thousands of them in Guatemala in the last few years, and it's blowing their mind because we're getting better and better imaging capability. They have LiDAR now that they're able to see under the foliage of the thick jungle, and they're realizing it's all pyramids under there.
All the information of every other particles in the universe, every atom in the universe, seems to be present holographically in each atom, which connects them all through this wormhole network. So if you actually want to know about the universe, where do you go? Inside yourself, right? And you become aware of them, you go deeper and deeper in them. Eventually you can get deeper level of information about the rest of the universe, about your consciousness, about how you are, like the root of you.
Hi everyone, welcome. So I'm Jennifer Hernandez, and I am the travel manager here for our events. And then want to introduce Nassim. Of course, everyone should know who he is, but just in case, Nassim.
Thank you, Jen. Yeah, Nassim Haramein. Yeah, I'm excited to be sharing this trip, excursion, transformation episode with you guys at this time. It's exciting.
Yes, thank you. So we are here to talk about the Singularity Conference and Adventure. So we have that scheduled for this February coming up in 2020. Very exciting after having a couple of years of not being able to travel. And I know that I was part of the team in 2019, and it was super exciting. We were planning great things for 2020, and unfortunately stuff happened, but very fortunate to be able to do it again. So Nassim, can you tell us a little bit more about what we should expect from this trip versus, a regular vacation to Tulum?
Oh, yes. Well, for people that were on the trips earlier, one of the common saying that emerged from these trips was, "This is not a vacation." We're on a mission, and it's an amazing mission. It's an amazing possibility. I'm seeing all the people logging in from all over the world, all around the world. And it is really transformative, meaning it's a journey. It's a journey we're going to take together. In this case, it's going to include quite a bit of conference and excursions to different ancient sites, and as well many different components, including other presenters and other contributors to our group. And from previous experiences, many people come back to us where their life has been completely transformed by these events. And it has a lifetime impact on people, for us and for the participant. We are all experiencing this together and transcending together. And I think at this point in history, it's really important that we come together and that we produce these transformation moments for each other, but as well for the morphogenetic field of the planet. And one of the reasons we're going to these ancient temples and these sacred sites is because they are center of energy, they're center of power in the morphogenetic field of the planet, in the metric of our planetary system. And this is why they were placed there by very advanced civilizations. And we are really kind of like tapping into the metric, of the world, into the metric of our universe, as we discover ourselves at a deeper level, and as we bring our energy together in these very powerful places with the arc technology as well to amplify our effect and so on. And so I'm babbling, but I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited that we're able to do that again.
Yes.
And it's been a long journey to be able to do it again. So I'm really looking forward to being with all of you guys out there.
Definitely, and so am I. So this is very exciting for me, and also I want to point out that it is different, right, Nassim, from the last trip that we took to Mexico. So we will have more conference time and more workshops. So can we add in the itinerary real quick so we can just quickly go through it? And I know that Carrie will.
One of the reason is that I have done, so since this, this reprieve from trips, I have done a lot of work in physics. I have done a lot of work in preparing a very important paper of unification of physics with Olivier Alérol. Dr. Alérol is a physicist from France that works with me at the laboratory, and we've been preparing something really, really powerful. And by the time February comes around, hopefully it will be published, or it would have just got published. And I will be in a really, really good position to be able to go through it and explain it. As well, Module 8 at the Resonance Science Foundation course of Unified Physics, which is open freely to everybody. This course will have a new section. In that section, that module will be Module 8, and it will as well have a layman explanation of the paper, and I'll be able to go through that layman explanation with people. And so let's look at the itinerary.
Yeah, so I mean, we can scroll through this real quick. So we have day one, we're traveling, and then so for the first half of the if we could go to day 2 to 4, that's sort of where we're having what Nassim is talking about right now and what he plans on sharing with us. So really exciting stuff, new information that we're going to have, and we're going to have basically 3 days is what we're planning to just really have deep dive into learning and have some workshops on the side. And then, of course, it wouldn't be a trip if we didn't, venture out and go and apply this correct to these ancient sites. So we'll, and it matches your background right now, Nassim, or it did. Anyways, so we're planning on going to Chichen Itza, going to Coba. We also want to go to a few cenotes around there. And, towards the later part of the event, so day 7,
and we're going to discuss all this in more details.
Yes.
That she's just going through the itinerary.
Yeah.
Right now.
So very quickly through it, just because the last event was very much different than this one, even though it is sort of same location. But again, we'll go back to having conferences and workshops, and day 7, 9, and 10, it's sort of a little bit, more relaxed, but we're still going to be very much unified and have a lot of, I know Nassim's going to touch base on this a little bit more, but the talk stories. And so we have a lot of great things planned in between, but this is just sort of a kind of quick overview of what we plan on doing. So
Yeah, and so did you want to go through the rest of the slides, or?
yeah, so let's go through that.
So the location is gonna be Maya Riviera, that region that is Tulum. The beautiful location, beautiful hotel. So those 3 first days of conference are gonna be amazing because we're gonna be in an amazing location.
Yes.
And
so beautiful waters.
beautiful waters, beautiful beaches, and we will be able to like really connect, because it's not just what we are presenting, but it's all of the information of everybody in the group and the interaction, and everybody bringing their piece as well to the energy of the group and to the bonding of the group. And but of course, I will be presenting quite a bit of information on science and philosophy and ancient civilization and so on. But as well, with this new paper having been published, and this really important information for people to understand the nature of their existence, the nature of the universe, the nature of the mechanics of the universe, its forces, its scales, its relationship to us individually, what it changes in our lives. And that's what Jen was talking about a minute ago, what I call, the little fireside chat that I have, that are what I call talk story from the Hawaiian tradition. And the talk stories can go late, right? So they're gonna be outside in the beautiful jungle and near the ocean, and maybe on the ocean at times. And these talk stories are places where I'm able to like really share from a vulnerable point, from a vulnerable place, about the impact of this knowledge to very advanced thoughts in philosophy and consciousness studies and social structures and all this. So this is going to be happening during these 3 days as well. And those are always some of my favorite moments, because they're less formal and really intimate. And I really appreciate those moments. So there will be formal presentations as well. And I think we're seeing some of the pictures of the facility.
These are the hotels that we'll stay at. But I wanted to touch base on the places we're going to visit on our excursions. And can you tell us a little bit more about the significance and of the locations that we chose to do these excursions at?
Yeah, I mean, there's there, of course, in Mayan country, in that region, there is these very powerful places. The land itself is extremely powerful in that region. It's Swiss cheesed with water, brackish water in some cases, and fresh water for most of these cenotes that are under the ground and that have very amazing, pure, highly structured water. And on top of these cenotes are pyramidal structures. Of course, some of the famous one being Chichen Itza and Coba and others. And so these were very important ceremonial region for the Mayan cultures, which in the case of the studies that we have done and the work that we have done, show that actually they were carrying the information forward from an earlier civilization that was present. And for instance, at Chichen Itza, they're starting to find that there is substructures under the structures that we observe. That is, that the structures that we see today are actually reconstruction or rebuilt from the Mayan culture, from earlier monuments that were already present. And so, and we'll see some of the evidence of that in Chichen Itza and in Coba. Jen, we're working on special permissions to, and usually those are a lot of fun. And we will be at Chichen Itza during the full moon, which are powerful energy levels for these regions.
And today is a full moon, Nassim.
Exactly. And so we are, going to these places to like bring back the knowledge of the ancient wisdom that was present, that actually has an impact on very advanced science and advanced physics, because it comes from a civilization that seemed to have been pre-cataclysmic, that is a civilization prior to the last ice age that was very advanced and that left very important pieces of information across the ages that reached us across the ages due to the help of a civilization like Inca, Maya, and Oltec and others that carried the information forward and rebuilt some of these monuments so that they would eventually reach us at this time. So these places are really important, and they're powerful, and it's important for us to go to these places and feel this energy and bathe in it, and as well to produce an energy event in that region. So I think, Jen, we're gonna stay near Chichen Itza. Like we're gonna stay one night right where we can even see some of the monuments of Chichen Itza from the hotel entrance.
Yeah, that is the plan. So very exciting. I mean, just like last time, we planned a very special full moon ceremony type deal. So we want to do something special again. And like Nassim said, we want to have some, special access, things like that. So this is all stuff I'm working on currently. Very exciting stuff. We have a lot of things lined up, and we want to add a lot of extra value to this. But to go back to the conference, Nassim, I know we mentioned Talk Story. We mentioned we're going to have 3 full days of conference. Is there any other special announcement you want to say for
yes,
maybe special guests?
Yeah, actually, we have, of course, some of our on-board scientists that will be there. William Brown being one of them.
Awesome.
Maybe we will have Olivier Lerol there. But as well, we have other guests that are going to come and present. One of them being Danica Patrick, which interviewed me a few months ago. And Danica was a race car driver for many, many years, one of the most successful women in race car driving industry for many years, and then eventually opened up to a whole new world of inquiries, and her path and her her life transformation and so on brought her to start a very popular podcast where she interviews many different people, from advanced scientists to philosophers and spiritual people and so on. And she's quite a bit she has accumulated quite a bit of knowledge now, and it's really exciting to have her with us. She'll be with us for this whole journey, and she will present during the conference days some of the work she's been doing, and I'm going to return the favor, and I will be interviewing her, and the whole group clearly will be able to ask her questions and so on. So it will be great to have her there, and as well, I'm in discussion. For sure, we will have an interaction. It might be by Zoom. It might be that he will be there in person, and there's a good chance he will be there in person. Greg Braden, my a colleague and great friend of mine, brother of mine. We just celebrated our 30 years collaboration and contribution to each other, a few months ago. And so we've been working together and doing science together for a long time. And we are working currently on very, very special project to both of our hearts on decoding ancient language that is found on specific artifacts from the region of Mexico and Central America. And so we will be able to discuss this. This is stuff I have not discussed publicly yet, and some of the research we've been doing together, some of the findings we've been able to do on these artifacts, and these artifacts showing very unusual scenes and portraying very unusual connection to something much larger than the Earth, and maybe even the galaxy, and some of these artifacts having, for instance, very clear depiction of our solar system and certain alignments in our solar system, very clear depiction of what we could say extraterrestrial interaction and so on. In any case, we've
very
done,
cool stuff.
Yeah, we've done carbon dating on it. We've done, thermoluminescence dating on them. We have explored trying to decode some of the language on there. And Greg has been helping with all of that and the geology and all this. And so it'll be wonderful to have him there, hopefully in person, and can't wait to rap with Greg on stage whenever we get on stage together. It's always fun.
Very exciting. So I guess now, just to sort of round out this conversation, I mean, what are you hoping people get from this experience? And I'll just flip through previous events that we've done. This is from last year, but Nassim, tell us more about what you're hoping for.
Yeah, well, I think at the end of the day, a deep transformation for everyone participating, including the people presenting, a coming together, understanding, like people talk about how you have to love yourself and you got to know yourself and all this, but it's like, what does that mean? Like, who am I? Like, what, in order for me to love myself, I got to know what I am. And, understanding what we are at the deepest level is really critical. And when we do, it transforms everything we see, it transforms everything we feel, it transforms everything we do in the world and how we feel about each other. And certainly transform our relationship to the universe, to the whole. And when we do this, we gain power in our capacity to move energy, to move our connection into the world, into the universe, in such a way that we become more and more powerful. And certainly as a group, I think there's a picture right now of, this is the group in 2011 in a cenote. This cenote is near Coba, I believe. And we didn't know, but viewed from above, we ended up making a heart. And in the middle there's a buoy with a 64 crystal structure, and everybody there is holding their crystal, and we're charging the water, which then flows through the cenotes under the pyramids and so on, and light up the grid for the whole region. There was a few anecdotal things that happened during that trip. For instance, in Coba, when we rounded in, when we circled up in Coba, and we made this this meditative crystal activation power grid using the arc crystal, which are very specific technology that amplifies this powerful being that you are. And when we did this, it felt very powerful, and the intent was to send a pulse to the center of the earth and connect with the core of the earth, and through the core of the earth connect with the core of the sun, and through the core of the sun connect with the core of the galaxy. When we did this, you know, it felt very powerful. But when we came back home, I came back to my desk, and I was going through all the literature in science and in physics that I have to keep up with constantly. And one paper came across my desk, which was like just a report from media that for the first time in history there was a pulse that had a gravitational pulse that had emerged from the core of the earth, that was registered by many instruments around the world, measuring the gravitational, you know, the gravitational changes around the planet. And so I right away looked at what time the pulse occurred, and you know, when, and it had coincidentally been while we were in Coba doing this circling. And so these kind of things are, you know, interesting, and they're relevant to, like, not just us in this group, not just us individually, but to the whole planetary structure, to the whole morphogenetic field of the planet. And that's why I say we're on a mission, and please be part of this mission with us.
Yeah, I mean, to touch on that, we definitely want everyone to participate. However, obviously space is limited. I believe we are including the link to purchase tickets in the chat. So definitely, if you're interested, I would say, you know, the ticket prices do go up. So we're right now in our pre-sale or early bird. And so November 1st, the prices do go up. So I would suggest, hey, if you're interested in going, put a deposit down, register. We want you there. It's going to be a magical time. It's going to be great. And so in addition to all of this awesome stuff that we'd be learning from Nassim and, you know, our guest speakers and from Talk Story, other things that are included in the trip, the ARC. So we're going to have, right, Nassim, each participant will be getting one
ARC crystal, you know, which are, you know, of I think $1,200 value.
Yeah, you have one for show and tell.
I have one on my neck. Yes, exactly.
So do I.
Yes, and you know, might see it right in its box. So everybody will be getting one of those.
And so this is technology that, I mean, we've discussed it, mentioned it. So this was, for those that don't know, Nassim, if you want to.
Yeah, this is technology that I have engineered since 1999, and that I was able to put on the market in 2017, I believe, and has been widely distributed now. Thousands and thousands of people around the world have them, and basically they are lab-grown crystals that were grown in a very specific way so that they're extremely pure and that have been cut in a very precise way along a very precise axis of growth of the molecular crystal, right? The C axis of the crystal. And then the orientation of this axe to the geometry is tuned to a very specific frequency, resonance frequency, so that it starts to interact at the molecular level with the natural oscillation of space, the structure of space at the quantum level. And and when it's in sympathetic resonance with this, and we increase that capacity by applying very large electromagnetic rotational field to the crystal while it's being constructed, and we have a whole system, and eventually this crystal produced this little pulse in its region of space that creates a little coherent field around it. And if you expose it to water, and that's why participants will be receiving a water bottle as well, which is our wonderful arc.
I was going to ask if you were going to show them.
Yeah, our wonderful arc bottles that have a crystal place, so you can place your crystal in it, underneath it, so it changes the water structure, and it's magnetically held there, and then that is charging the water structure that you're drinking. And basically all of these things, and so we have this kind of technology that help individuals, but as well we can put them together. So I engineered them. So one of the big challenge in making these crystals was that they were very fragile. And as well, I had to have them suspended somehow so that they could keep oscillating. So that's why I, designed a whole saddle structure of titanium that holds the crystals with a system of dampeners in between that makes it so that the crystal is actually suspended inside the titanium structure. And then there is little magnetic fields that are interacting with each other so that you can stick the crystals together and make larger structures as we come together. So as we come together, we'll be able to build larger structures, and we will bring some as well. And these will be utilized when we go to the sacred sites as well, to for our meditations and so on. And Perfect. So, and they amplify the field because they create a higher level of coherency in that region. And that's why the water molecules get modified by it. That's why it gets energized by it, self or energized. And then if you feed the water to plants, they grow faster and bigger and stronger.
It's true.
Yes.
I've tried it. Yes. I've experimented at home. They help my poor plants.
Yes. And many tests were done in the lab, thousands of tests. And so we're excited to be able to share that technology with people. And there is many other technologies that are coming behind that I'll be able to discuss with people there.
So we're getting the insider tips here.
Exactly. The insider story of what actually is coming behind it and the power that's coming behind it which eventually leads to power in which, you know, the little crystal is running your house, your car, your spaceship, whatever, you know, like that. That's on the way. And actually, the physics I'll be sharing with, you know, during that time will be discussing those, you know, the path to that happening, because these math, these physics that I've solved now really gives us a clear understanding on how we're going to get there. And this is something that's critical for humanity. This is something that's critical for humanity, that we're able to produce energy in a way that's sustainable, and that in a way that is abundant, that we're able to overcome gravitational fields so we can have space exploration, so that we can become citizen of the universe, you know, at least of the solar system, and in a way that is sustainable, unlike, you know, rocketry, and so this is a really, really important part of what we're going to discuss there, and it's really stuff that that you can only get from me directly that way. So it'll be fun.
Yes, awesome. And so in addition to all this great stuff, we're, you know, providing food, transportation, housing. So it's pretty much going to be a very well-rounded event with excursions, with conference and learning, and these fireside chats, talk story that we're going to do. So
I just saw a question go by saying, is there going to be a prize for physics students? Actually, you know, I'm not, you know, I understand that this, first of all, I want to say that, like, traveling after the last year and a half, what happened, has become much more expensive and so on for, you know, various reasons. But so that's why the prices are, you know, they're not necessarily affordable to the physics students, and so on. And I want to say that, like, some of the lectures we are planning on being able, we're working on this right now.
Yes, to provide virtual.
Yeah, to provide virtual access.
Yes.
So that people can see some of the lectures, and so that, yeah.
Yeah, so if you can't join us physically, we hope that you can join us virtually, at least for those lectures.
Yes, exactly. And so we're working on this, and at the same time, all the people that can come, like, please come, because it's gonna be powerful. And I really feel like, and as well, it makes a big difference. I want to say as well, it makes a big difference for you, for people that are listening right now, for you to go, for instance, to the Resonance Science Foundation, resonancescience.org, and register for the free course there. Like, it's a very in-depth course on unified physics. It's well done. And we just updated it with module 7, which addressed the papers that I have written until now, that I have published until now, that were not part of the course before, because it had been written 7 years ago. And then, so module 7 is there, and then module 8 will be there as soon as I publish this next paper, which is really, really critical. And as well, I want to say that we will be scheduling seminars, virtual seminars, for people that cannot come as well. Some of those virtual seminars will be technical seminars for physicists and engineers and people that have technical interest. And in those seminars, we will go through all the equations one by one and understand what they mean and how they apply. And so, you know, there's much more coming behind. And Jen is already on overwhelm. So, like, you know, get ready.
So you know it's going to be great.
Yeah. so I'm really excited to for the next few months to come. Please stay. Like what I was saying is that to go and take the course is great. To become a member of the Resident Science Foundation is really good. You know, it really helps us. It really helps us be able to do the research and provide all the information that we're providing, a large portion of it completely freely on our site, and to continue to connect with people across the world and continue to influence and connect with the scientific community and do research and write papers and build technology. So becoming a member at $5 a month, I believe, you know, $60 a year is really, really helpful. And we have 100,000 people taking the course, the free, or over that now, I think 110, 115. I think, you know, if we can get more people becoming members, you get all kinds of benefits for it and so on. And you get to ask me questions on the Live with Nassim every month, you know, and so on. And so let's all work together and get this done and transform ourselves, transform our world, and move humanity into the next sphere of influence in the universe.
Awesome, Nassim. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. And again, just to reiterate, those that are able to make, you know, join us in Mexico, please go for it, because I mean, as great as the virtual option is, it's not the same as being in person and having that, you know, camaraderie that we end up having after everything. So I guess we've pretty much touched on all the points for the event. And then Nassim, anything
Jen.
else?
Thank you, Carrie, for helping.
Yes.
So let's all work together. Email us so you can go to
travel. It's the email address if you need to reach us is travelteam@nassimharamein.com. And so let me see if I can put this in the chat, but basically reach out to us if you have any questions.
Yeah, if you can put it in the chat, and the website, you can go to nassimharamein.com, or you can go to singularityadventures.com, and we can put this all in the chat right now.
Yep, it's there.
Okay.
Thanks, Carrie.
Yeah, there we go. And the ResidentScienceFoundation.org, of course, to register for the course and so on as well. So thank you so much, everybody, for participating. I look forward to more discussion and more connection with all of you. And until then, may the vacuum be with you. Thank you, Jen.
Okay, bye, everyone.